Right. Well, it looks like it's 4 o'clock. So go ahead and get started. I'm sure we'll have a few more join us, but that's the beauty of doing it virtually. That's perfectly fine. You could jump in half an hour late if you ever need to. So no worries there. Go ahead if you haven't already and start to find that comfortable position where you like to begin your practice. Most of you have been with me for months by now, so you know the drill. I like to invite you to start wherever you feel comfortable. So I always suggest lying down, but it doesn't have to be that. It can be seated in a cross-legged position. It could be lying on your side. Does not matter. I've seen people on their stomachs. So if that's what feels good for you, that's perfectly fine. The point of this space here in the beginning of class is to really just settle in and get comfortable and transition. And I know I've said this before, but this time is so important, especially now in our virtual environment, because you don't have the same rituals of going to a class. When you used to go to class, you got in your car, you drove there, you mentally prepared yourself to go to your yoga class. Now at home, we have the luxury of going right from one thing to the other, which can be really convenient, but it can also be a little jarring if you were just, I don't know, maybe you just turned off your computer from work, or maybe you just ran in the door from doing an errand. So take this time now to separate from whatever it was you were just doing. Start to pay attention to what's going on right now. We're all in different places, so that could be different for each of you, but begin to notice what's going on around you, what sounds you're hearing, what you're feeling, what you're maybe not seeing right now because your eyes are most likely closed, but just begin to take in everything that's around you, what you're feeling. Just sort of acknowledge all of that. And as you do, everything else starts to become a little more distant. So gently letting go of the day you've had, letting go of the evening that's ahead of you, and just savoring this next hour here on your mat, taking a moment to create an intention for yourself. And we do this before every class, and sometimes that intention might be the same every single week. Some people like to continue to focus on healing, continue to focus on peace, sending forgiveness to someone, breathing, or maybe you like to mix it up each day or each week, depending on what feels right in the moment. So take a moment now, think about what it is you're going to work on today on your mat, and then just kind of seal it right into your heart so that as you start to move through your practice in a moment, that intention is right there present. Taking one more big full breath in, and then slowly transitioning onto your back if you're not there already. So if you were on your side or seated, gently lower yourself down onto your back. If you're there already, then you don't need to do anything, except on the next inhale, we'll all take a big full body stretch. So go ahead and start to reach the arms overhead, beginning by wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes, moving the ankles and the wrists. And then slowly drawing that right knee in towards you, interlacing your hands around that right leg or on top of the shin. Start to draw that right knee in towards you, rocking it from side to side or making circles with that leg. Always starting by slowly warming up each of the body parts, giving it a little love, a little movement. And then let's take a twist. So the right leg comes over to the left side. You can kind of adjust a little bit so that you're leaning on that left hip a little bit. Maybe you look to the right in the opposite direction of the leg. And then slowly coming back through center. Let's extend the right leg up towards the ceiling. You can bend the left knee, placing that left foot on the mat to kind of make it a little more comfortable. And then we're going to start to raise and lower that right leg. So as you inhale, the leg lifts up. As you exhale, it draws back down. Go ahead and move a couple times, stretching out through the bottom of the leg. And then the next time you lift the leg, start to bring the hands behind the leg, draw that right leg towards you, massaging the back of the leg, bending and straightening the knee. Lowering your head if you had it lifted, and then placing the right foot on the left knee, flexing through the right foot. Extend your arms out to either side of you, and then you're just going to let your hips rock from side to side. So going to the left, that right foot kind of comes towards the mat, and then going to the right knee comes towards the mat. And just take a couple rotations side to side. You should feel a nice little twist or stretch in the spine. And then as you come back through center, that right foot is going to go back down onto the mat. You can straighten the right leg and then just start to draw the left knee in towards you, interlacing the arms around that left shin, flexing through the left foot, and taking any kind of movement here that feels good. Side to side movement, circular movement, no movement. That's always an option as well. Sometimes it feels good to just pause and breathe and use that breath to kind of deepen your stretch. And then let's make that twist. So the left leg comes over to the right side. You can kind of lean onto the right hip, looking up either towards the ceiling or maybe turning your gaze to the left so that you're looking away from the knee. And then on the next inhale, that left knee can draw back through center. The right foot comes to the mat, bend that right knee. Left leg extends up towards the sky as you start to raise and lower that left leg. I always like to point my toe as I lift and then flex the foot as I draw it back down. Inhaling as you lift, exhale as you go back down. So really focusing on the breath along with the movement. The next time the leg lifts, your hands can come behind the thigh or the calf. Give that leg a little massage. Give that knee a little bend. Maybe walking the hands up as you lift the head up off the mat. And slowly walking the hands back down, placing that left foot on the right knee, flexing through that left foot. So you're kind of making a little 90-degree angle with your shin and your foot. Your hands can extend to either side of you. And then again, rocking those hips from side to side. The left toes come to the mat. And then the left knee comes to the mat or towards the mat. It doesn't have to touch. The idea is that you're just rocking the hips enough to kind of create a little twisting action in the spine. And then let's start to come back through center, drawing both knees in towards you. Hands come behind the thighs as you tuck your chin into your chest. Go ahead and rock yourself up to a seated position. As you start to settle in to a little cross-legged seat, you can rock from side to side a little bit, grounding down on your tailbone. Hands can rest in your lap or on your knees as you sit up nice and tall. Let's all roll out the shoulders just one time. Take a deep breath in, draw the shoulders up. Exhale, let them release down the back. Maybe one more time with a really exaggerated breath. So inhale, draw the shoulders up, create a little tightness, a little tension, and then when you're ready, a big exhale lets them go. So as you roll those shoulders back, feel yourself sit up a little taller. That spine lengthens. The chin becomes parallel to the ground, so we're not leaning forward. The neck is part of the spine. You want that neck long and lengthened, just like the back of the body. Start to make circles with the upper body. So you can bring your hands to your knees if they weren't there. Start to lean the chest forward and then circle the upper body all the way around, so creating a nice fluid movement with the upper body. Again, option to pause here. If you find a spot, ooh, that feels really good for my back, stay there for a breath or two. Don't have to keep circling. Going back in the opposite direction if you were circling. And then slowly coming back through center, sit up nice and tall. Let's bring the soles of the feet together, coming into butterfly pose, or some people call it cobbler's pose. You can bring your hands under your toes. The soles of the feet are together. As you lengthen the spine, breathe in. As you exhale, start to draw the upper body forward. I always like to think about bringing my chest towards my toes rather than the top of my head. The elbows can kind of press into the shins to sort of gently guide the legs down a little bit more, not forcing anything, but just giving it a little extra resistance. And then slowly coming back up to a seated position, extend the right leg long. The left foot can come into the right inner thigh, flex through the right toes, shift so that you're sort of facing that right leg. And then on an inhale, the arms lift up overhead. The exhale folds you forward. Continuing to give that leg a little love and attention in whatever way it needs. So that could be bending the knee, that could be massaging the back of the leg, that could be moving a little bit, or it could be just staying still in this forward fold. On the next inhale, slowly lifting back up through center. We're going to take the left foot, take it on top of the right knee, so making a little figure four shape that's facing away from you, kind of upside down four. Your hands are going to come to the sides of your body. Sit up really nice and tall. We're working on a hip stretch here for that left hip. So if you're already feeling this in your left hip, you're going to stay right here, maybe gently pressing that left knee down a little bit. If you're not feeling it yet, the right foot comes to the mat. And then you're going to continue to walk that right foot towards you, or walk your hips towards the foot until you eventually start to feel a nice opening in the hip. It's going to be different for everyone, but once you find that spot that's right for you, you'll know, because you'll feel a nice opening, a nice stretch or resistance without pain. You don't want to push past that point where it starts to feel uncomfortable. So we're all just going to hold this for a couple more breaths. Work on sitting up nice and tall, so use those hands to kind of prop up the spine. The hips can rock from side to side a little bit. Your eyes can close. When we do our pigeon pose at the end of class, it's the exact same stretch. So if you're ever in a class, including this one, and we start to do pigeon on our stomach and you don't like it, you can always turn over and do this. This is exactly the same, just another way of getting there. So slowly starting to slide that right foot all the way back down onto the mat if you had the right leg bent. The left foot is going to come to the outside of the right knee. So we're kind of crossing that left leg over the right. The left hand is going to come to the side of the body, and as you inhale, the right fingertips lift up. As you exhale, twist to the left, hooking that right elbow on the outside of the left knee, so creating a nice twist in the spine. Take a deep breath as you sit up a little taller. And then exhale as you twist even further. And slowly as you come back through center, you can take it over to the other side. The left elbow can come to the left knee. A little twist in the opposite direction. And then again, come back through center. Left leg extends. You can tap the backs of the legs on the mat a little bit. Nice little shake them out. And then we'll do that all over again on the other side. So the right foot is going to come into the left inner thigh, flex through the left toes. As you inhale, lifting up and lengthening. And then as you exhale, fold over that left leg. Bending the knee if that feels good, using the hands to massage the calf or the shin. You can also keep a fluid movement in the spine. So if it feels good to kind of lift up as you inhale and fold as you exhale, do that again. Inhale, lift, exhale, fold a little further. That's an option as well. Sometimes you can get a little deeper stretch each time you fold. And then slowly starting to lift it all the way back up. We're going to take that the right foot to the left knee, flex through the right foot, create that little upside down figure four shape. Your hands are going to come to the side of the body, and then start to settle in to your hip stretch on the other side. And it could be very different. Here, you might be feeling it already when you weren't on the other side, or maybe the side's a little more open. So that left knee can bend, the left foot goes on the mat, and just start to scoot yourself forward until you feel that spot that's right for you. The eyes can close as you just breathe into this pose. It's early in your practice, so that hip might not be as open or as warmed up as it would be if you did this later on. So be gentle with yourself. And then slowly starting to slide that left leg back down onto the mat. If you had it bent, the right foot's going to come to the outside of the left knee, so crossing it over. The right hand comes down next to the right hip, and then the left arm lifts as you breathe in. And as you exhale, twist to the right. Left elbow is hooking on the right knee. Think about twisting the spine, looking towards that right shoulder as you sit up a little taller, twisting a little deeper. And then gently coming back through center, take it over to the opposite direction just for a breath, the right elbow into the right knee. And again, come back through center. You can straighten both legs, shake them out a little bit, tap the backs of the legs on the mat, and then we're gonna find our tabletop position. So starting to begin your transition onto your hands and knees as you come upside down or whatever, opposite of the way we were before. The knees are on the mat, the hips are above the knees, the wrists are below the shoulders, and your spine is really nice and flat. So once you find that sturdy tabletop position, start to move through a couple rounds of your cat and cow. So the inhale releases the stomach down, the gaze goes up. As you exhale, the back rounds as you press the ground away from you. And go ahead and take a couple rounds just like this with your breath. So moving however it feels good. I always say, really whatever feels good. It could be rocking the hips side to side. It could be shaking the head yes or no, circular motion. Or again, maybe it's stillness. And as you finish the round that you're on, start to come back through a neutral spine, so a nice flat back. We're going to add on a little bit as you take a breath in, and then as you exhale, we're going to press back into a child's pose just for that exhale. So we're exhaling back. The inhale, we're going to start to lift back up, release the hips down towards the mat. So now we're kind of pressing those hips down, almost like a cobra pose, coming as deep as it feels comfortable. So you don't have to force it all the way, but just let those hips release enough so you can start to feel a little opening in your back. We're going to do that a couple times. So exhale it back to your child's pose. And then on the next inhale, almost like a wave, the spine lifts, the hips start to press down, the gaze goes up. Exhale sends it back to your child's pose. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, like a string is pulling up the spine, and then the hips are pressing down. Exhale back to your child's pose. This time, go ahead and settle into your child's pose. So the toes come together, the knees are a little bit apart. We're going to stay here for a couple breaths this time. So find a position that feels comfortable for you. That could be resting your head on the back of your hands on the mat. That could be keeping the hands right where they are towards the top of the mat, or fingertips at the sides of the body so your fingers are next to your toes. Go ahead and play around with positioning until you find one that feels good for you. Let the eyes close. Bring your awareness back to your breath a little bit as you count about 5 breaths. Maybe refocusing on that intention that you set. And we're going to slowly start to walk the hands back towards the top of the mat if that's not where they were already. And we're going to begin to transition into our first downward facing dog. So when you're ready, the toes will tuck, the legs will start to straighten, the hips are going to press up and back. As you start to settle into your down dog, move however you need to, lifting up one heel at a time and pressing it back down, bending the knees and then straightening them. The hips can rock from side to side. Your head can kind of shake yes or no. Sometimes we get a lot of tightness and tension in our shoulders and upper back, so moving the head can really help with that. On the next inhale, we're going to roll it forward into a plank, kind of like we just did with that child's pose, little wave-like movement. This time we're going to do it from our down dog. So as you inhale, roll it forward, creating a plank shape or a straight line, the hips tuck under. Exhale, send it back to your downward facing dog. We're going to do that 2 more times. So like a wave, take a breath in, roll it forward, try to bring the shoulders over the wrists. Exhale, send it back. And one last time, inhale, roll it forward. Get nice and long to the back of the body. And then exhale back to your downward facing dog. From here, take your gaze towards your hands. So look towards the top of the mat and then start to walk your feet towards the top of the mat. You can take a bunch of tiny little steps or one giant step, however you like to get there. Your feet can be about hips width distance apart. And then you're just gonna take any forward fold that feels comfortable for you. So see what it is that you need tonight. Maybe that's holding on to opposite elbows or bringing your hands behind your knees. Maybe it's bending the knees really deep, almost like you're giving yourself a hug. Or hands behind the head, sort of drawing the head down towards the mat. You can move from side to side or stay still. Just let go, let the upper body become heavy. And then slowly, so you don't get dizzy, one vertebrae at a time, we're gonna start to gently lift it all the way up. Come to standing, reach the arms overhead, a little back bend if that feels good as you take your gaze up. And then as you exhale, hands can come to heart center. The next inhale, the arms are gonna reach back up overhead. You're gonna interlace your hands, but keep your pointer fingers pointing up towards the sky. So kind of like you're holding your own hands, but the pointer fingers are pointing up. Reach the arms up. You can bring the feet together so you don't have that space between them anymore. Big toes come together. Take a breath in as you lift up. As you exhale, take it over to the left side. So we're lengthening through the whole right side of the body. The hips are pressing to the right. You can look up under that right arm. On the next inhale, go ahead and lift it all the way back up. And as you exhale, take it in the opposite direction. The hips press to the left. Roll that left shoulder open as you look under the left arm. Remembering to continue to breathe here. Sometimes it can be tempting to hold your breath in a pose, but breathe through it. On the next inhale, back through center, we're gonna find cactus arms, bending the elbows at either side of the body. Bring the hands and the elbows together in front of you, and then the right arm is gonna come on top of the left, so the backs of the hands are together. Or bring your hands to your shoulders and give yourself a hug, either option. From here, take a breath in, lift the arms up. Exhale, fold it forward. So we're working on creating space in the back a little bit, in the shoulder blades and upper neck. If it feels more comfortable to space out your feet again, you can do that as well. You have that space in between them. Work on pressing the fingertips towards the mat. And then go ahead and let go of the arms one vertebrae at a time. Start to peel it all the way back up. Reach the arms overhead, relax the shoulders. And then we're gonna bring our arms back to cactus. This time the left arm comes on top of the right. So opposite as we just did. Backs of the hands together or give yourself that hug. Take a breath in as you lift. And then exhale as you fold forward. Same thing. Visualize that opening, that stretching in the upper back, the spine, the shoulders, bending the knees if that feels good. And then slowly letting go of the arms, one vertebrae at a time, lift it all the way back up, reach the arms overhead. And then as you exhale, we're gonna bring our hands behind the body, interlace them behind the tailbone. So you're holding your hands behind your back. Press the shoulders away from you, press the hands away from you. Take a big deep breath in as you look up. One last time, we're gonna fold forward as you exhale. Lots of forward folding here. So really work on letting go, letting gravity kind of draw you down towards the mat. Think about a weight in the top of your head. And then go ahead and release the hands, bring them to the mat. And we're gonna start to transition back to our downward facing dog. So you can go ahead and start to walk the feet to the back of the mat. Again, taking a bunch of little steps or one giant step until you're back in your downward facing dog. Maybe you take a couple more moments to breathe here and move here, or maybe you just start to come into stillness. So wherever you are, settling into that downward facing dog. And then on the next inhale, we're gonna lift the right leg up, point the toes towards the sky. So this is called three-legged dog. We're gonna bend the right knee. So you're bringing the right heel towards the body, the knee is pressing down towards the mat. This is a little tricky, so give it a try. We're gonna start to draw that right knee forward, step the right foot in between your hands. So we're coming to a low lunge. If it feels more comfortable to come down onto your knees first and then come up into that low lunge, that's fine. Get there however it works for you. Once you're here, the left hand is gonna stay down, that right hand is gonna lift up. So we're looking up towards the sky, looking up towards that right hand. And then slowly bringing that right hand back down to the mat. The left knee is gonna come down, untuck the toes. As you exhale, press the hips back. Fold over that right leg. So we're straightening the right knee. And then on the next inhale, press the hips forward, start to lift up through the upper body. I know I always suggest this, but I'll say it again. You can use some blocks here, you can use some books here, whatever helps bring the ground a little closer to you. If you feel like you're leaning forward a lot here, bring your hands to something and then you can kind of lift the upper body up a little more. Exhale, sends it back, folding over that right leg, hips press behind you. And go ahead and do that a couple more times. Inhale, roll it forward. Exhale, send it back. The next time we come forward, we're gonna come into our Anjaneyasana. So the hips are gonna press forward. Your hands can come to that right knee, or they can reach all the way up towards the sky. Relax the shoulders, take your gaze towards your hands. And slowly bringing your hands back to frame out that front foot. You're gonna tuck the left toes, straighten that left leg, and we're gonna do another little challenging transition. So give it a try, but be gentle with yourself as well. It's okay if you need to come into it another way. So from here, we're in a low lunge. We're gonna come up into a high lunge. So see if you can maybe bring the hands to that right knee first and then press yourself up. If that feels terrible and you'd rather come to a standing position first and then step back to your lunge, that's fine. Start to transition into that high lunge, give it a shot. So we're bending into that right knee. From our high lunge, we're going to find a warrior one. So the difference between high lunge and warrior one is that back foot, that left foot. You're on your toes for the high lunge. For warrior one, that left foot comes down. So you're grounding down through that left heel, continuing to press that left hip towards the front of the mat. So that back foot is kind of at a 45-degree angle now. Good, that was a tricky transition. From here, we're gonna take our hands, interlace them behind your tailbone, just like we did standing a moment ago. Press the palms together, take a deep breath in as you open up through the heart, up through the chest, and then you're gonna start to lean forward as much as you can. Think about pressing the top of the head towards the top of your mat, or maybe down towards the floor, as far forward as it feels comfortable. And then slowly starting to lift the upper body back up, straighten through that right leg. You can release the hands, and then you're gonna step the left foot back up to meet the right. Shake it out a little bit as you make your way back to the top of your mat. And then on the next inhale, the arms are gonna lift back up overhead. As you exhale, you're gonna fold it forward. And we're gonna step it back to our downward facing dog. So go ahead and walk the feet to the back of the mat again. This time, as you inhale, the left leg is gonna lift, point the toes towards the back of the room, three-legged dog, and then bend that knee, open up the hip. The heel comes towards the body, the knee goes towards the sky. And then time for that tricky transition again. So that left knee is gonna start to draw forward as you step the left foot in between the hands. Again, come down onto the mat first and then find that low lunge if that suits you best. The right hand stays down, and as you exhale, the left arm starts to lift up towards the sky. Taking your gaze towards that left hand, think about pressing that left shoulder open and back. And then slowly bringing that left hand back down to the mat. The right knee comes down, untuck those right toes. As you exhale, straighten through the left leg, pressing the hips towards the back of the mat. And then go ahead and move through that little hip flow. So the hips press forward on the inhale, the upper body lifts and lengthens. As you exhale, send it back. Taking a couple more rounds, just like that. Really think about warming up through the hips. Next time you come forward, we'll make our way into that Anjaneyasana. So the hips press forward. That's Sanskrit for crescent moon. So crescent moon pose. And then your hands can start to come to the knees, relax the shoulders, and maybe the arms lift up overhead if that feels comfortable. Taking your gaze up towards the sky, so either towards your hands, or if the hands are on the knee, just work on lifting and lengthening through the throat, the heart, the chest. And then slowly bringing your hands back to frame out that left foot. We're going to tuck the right toes, straighten that right leg, and we're coming to that high lunge. So you gave it a try on the other time, if they're on the other side. If there was another way that worked better to get there, you're welcome to it. But if you're getting to it from here, you can bring your hands to your knees first, and then lift yourself all the way up. Taking a moment to find your balance here. A lunge is a balance because you're on that back foot, on the ball of the back foot. It can be a little wobbly. So be gentle with yourself here as you continue to bend into that left knee. And then we're going to turn this high lunge into our warrior one by grounding down through that back foot. So the right heel comes down, 45-degree angle with that back foot. That right hip presses forward, so both hips are in a line rather than the left hip way out in front of the right. From here, we're going to take the hands behind the body, interlace them, put the awkward thumb on top. So before you interlace them, whichever way felt the most natural, this way do the opposite interlace. So the opposite hand is on top. So if you're right-handed, it's probably the left thumb, but just see which one feels a little funky. That's probably the one you didn't do. Take a deep breath in as you lift up through the upper body. And then again, as you exhale, start to fold forward or reach the head towards the top of the mat, or maybe down towards the foot. See where you got some room to move. And then slowly lifting the upper body up. You can straighten that left leg, relax the arms, and again, step to the top of your mat. Shake it out, let it go. That was a challenging little sequence. So grab a sip of water if you need. Kind of give yourself a little reset. Take a breath. And then start to make your way back to the top of your mat. Bring the feet together. The next inhale, we're going to reach the arms up overhead. As you exhale, we're going to sit back into a chair pose. So pressing those hips back, relaxing the shoulders, lengthening through the upper body. So kind of like you're sitting in an imaginary chair. We're going to turn this into a twist by reaching the right hand behind you. Left fingertips are still reaching the front of the mat. See if you can keep your hips facing the front of the mat. So it's really just the shoulders and upper body that are rotating. Maybe you look back towards that right hand, or at least towards the side of your mat. Okay. On the next inhale, we're going to stand up straight. So straighten the legs, reach the arms up overhead. And then we're going to start to draw the right knee in towards you. So making a little 90-degree angle with that right knee. You can interlace your hands around the knee, kind of hold that knee up a little bit. I'm going to give you some options here, and you're going to take as many as you want and challenge yourself a little bit. So we're coming into a balance. If this feels like enough of a balance, stay right here. If you want to bring a wall to your left shoulder or bring yourself to a wall, to kind of have that stability either there in case you need it, or maybe just touching it with your hand, that's an option. If you want to add on from here, we're going to take the left fingertips out to the side of the body. And the right leg is going to start to come to the opposite side. So right leg is reaching to the right, left fingertips are reaching to the left. At this point, you're still looking forward at something that's not moving. That helps you ground down. The final challenge would be to turn your gaze towards that left hand. See if you can look towards the left fingertips. Once you move your gaze, everything gets a little wobbly. Give it a shot. And then slowly starting to come back through center and place that right foot down on the mat. Shake out the left leg a little bit. It might be burning a little bit from standing for so long on just one leg. That's a good thing. Bring the feet back together. On the next inhale, lift the arms up. As you exhale, sit back into that chair pose, pressing the tailbone down, thinking about lengthening through the spine as the shoulders relax. And then we're going to find that twist again. So the left arm reaches behind you this time. The right fingertips reach forward. Work on having both arms parallel to the ground as you look back towards that left hand, relaxing the shoulders, opening up through that upper chest and heart and throat area. And then on the next inhale, straighten it all out, unravel it as the arms reach up overhead. And then this time the left knee is gonna start to bend as you lift up that left foot. Interlace your hands around that left knee. So same option as before. You can stay right here. This is a balance. If this feels good, this is where you're staying. Find that focal point that's not moving, something that you can look at. And then maybe the right fingertips reach out to the right side. You'll notice some sides are more wobbly than the other. Left leg can start to reach out to the left if you want to challenge yourself. And then the last step is to look towards the right fingertips, turning that gaze. And then slowly bringing it all back through center, gently placing the left leg back down on the mat, shaking out the standing leg one more time. We're going to make our way into a Tadasana. Kind of take a break, take a breath. So starting with the feet firmly planted on the mat, go ahead and close your eyes as you stand up nice and tall. Maybe you rock forwards and backwards on the feet a little bit, feeling the earth beneath you, feeling yourself really grounding down, connecting, rooting down. And feel the legs lengthening, really strong. Your tailbone is gently tucked under. That allows your spine to get a little longer, so feel the spine lengthening. Let's take a breath in and roll the shoulders forwards and up. And then as you exhale, let them release down the back. So again, feel yourself get a little taller as the shoulders release down and back. Your arms are gently resting at the sides of your body. Start to lift the head a little bit so that the chin is parallel to the ground. Feel yourself again get a little taller. Take a moment to come back to that intention that you set. Take a moment to take a really nice deep breath. We're in this great alignment that allows us to breathe really fully, so take advantage of that. That's why we practice yoga, to allow ourselves to take these really great breaths. So good for us. Slowly starting to open your eyes. Coming back to the top of the mat if you weren't there already. We're going to make our way into a warrior two. So the left foot is going to step all the way to the back of your mat, or just about to the back. That left foot is parallel to the back of the mat. The right toes are facing forward. So this time your hip is facing the sides of the mat instead of the front of the mat. Your arms are going to lift up as you inhale, right fingertips facing forward, left fingertips back. As you exhale, bend into that right knee, relaxing through the shoulders as you lengthen through the arms. Taking your gaze towards that front right middle finger. Let's come into a peaceful warrior from here. So that right palm is going to flip up towards the sky. You're going to reach your right fingertips forward, so you're creating some length in the upper body, still bending into that right knee. Take a breath in and start to lift that right arm up over your head. The left hand will gently rest on the back of the left leg. Right fingertips are reaching behind you, so we're getting a nice stretch on that right side of the body. Continue to bend into that left knee, or right knee. Sorry. On the next inhale, start to transition back to your warrior two, so the legs stay exactly where they are. The upper body just lifts back up, the arms extend, and then go ahead and straighten the right knee. Reach the right fingertips forward again. This time triangle pose, or trikonasana. So the right hand starts to come down, the left arm starts to lift up as you roll that left shoulder back. Take your gaze up towards that left hand. And on the next inhale, engaging the core, slowly lifting the upper body back up. We're going to turn the right toes to face the same direction as the left, so facing the side of your mat. Take a breath in as you reach the arms up overhead. As you exhale, wide-legged fold. Start to take it forward, taking any movement that feels good here. So you can rock your hips from side to side. You can kind of bend one knee and then the other. You can walk your hands over to one leg and then the other. Kind of letting the upper body sort of hang and move however it feels good for you. From here, we're going to start to walk our hands to frame out the left foot. So you're turning to face the back of your mat. And you're going to come into a low lunge at the back of your mat. So you're switching your direction here. So take a moment to transition. Give yourself a second to settle in. And then just like we did before, we're going to lift back up into that high lunge. So same option. You can sort of bring your hands to your knee first and lift up through the upper body. Or maybe you step your feet together and then step it back. However it feels comfortable, find that high lunge. And then we're going to come back to our warrior two, facing the other direction. So the right foot is going to ground down. That right foot is parallel to what was the front of your mat. It's now the back of your mat. The left fingertips reach forward, the right fingertips reach back. Coming back into that warrior two on the opposite side. So you relax the shoulders, bending into that left knee. Start to make our way into our peaceful warrior. The left hand flips so that left palm is facing the ceiling. Reach the left fingertips forward first to get some space. And then as you exhale, that left arm lifts up and overhead. The right hand rests on the back leg, bending into that left knee. So sometimes we forget about that left knee and start to straighten it. Think about still bending into that left knee as you reach the left fingertips behind you. And then slowly making your way back to your warrior two. We're going to straighten that left leg, reach the left fingertips forward as we start to come into our triangle pose on the opposite side. The left hand comes down, the right fingertips lift up. Take your gaze towards that right hand. And then as you engage the core, slowly start to lift the upper body all the way back up. Turn the left toes to face the side of your mat. And then one more time, wide-legged forward fold. As you inhale, the arms lift up. As you exhale, you fold it forward. Again, moving however it feels good for you. Walking the hands really far out in front of you if you like. Walking the hands really far behind you. Maybe moving, maybe staying still. You have lots of options to do what feels right for you. And then slowly starting to walk the hands to frame out that right foot. We're going to find a low lunge back at the top of the mat. So the hands are on either side of the right foot. You're going to spin to the ball of that left foot so that you're facing the front of your mat again. And then we're going to step it back to our downward facing dog. So the right foot is going to step back to meet the left. If you like to come onto your knees first and then to your down dog, that's fine. Get there however it feels comfortable for you. And then we're going to start to make our way into our pigeon. So just like I said at the beginning, if you like to do your pigeon from that seated position, you can come right back into where we were at the beginning of class. If you want to do your pigeon on your stomach, we'll start to transition there now. So the right leg is going to lift up, and then that right knee starts to draw behind the right wrist. You can also come here from a tabletop position if it's more comfortable than doing it from down dog. So you're going to rock from side to side on your hips a little bit so that that left hip is pressing down just as much as the right is, and you're not completely leaning over to the right side. Flex through the right toes as you take a breath in, lengthen through the upper body. And then as you exhale, start to lower down onto your mat, finding something to rest your head on. So stacking your fists or grabbing a pillow or a block, or you must have a million things at your house. So something to support your head so that you're not using your neck and shoulders to support it. Let that weight be somewhere else, or let something else support that weight. And we're gonna hold this for about 7 breaths or so, 7 long, slow breaths. So you can go ahead and close your eyes. And then just acknowledging where you're at. We can pay a lot more attention in this pose than we do in other poses because usually we're focusing on what's coming next or what we're doing, but here we're not doing anything, you're not moving. So you can really focus on what's going on in the body, how you're feeling, how your thoughts are right now. Sometimes our thoughts are not what we want them to be, and that's okay. The first step is to notice, and then you can start to change. You're telling yourself, I don't like this, I can't do this. You can change those thoughts. And then slowly starting to walk the hands back towards the body as you press your upper body up. Your choice if you like to come to a tabletop in between sides or a down dog in between sides. So either way, you're going to make yourself there, make your way there. So the left leg can extend as the right leg steps back to down dog, or you can slide that right knee back into a tabletop position. Either way, we're going to take it over onto the left side so that left leg lifts up, and then start to draw the left knee behind the left wrist as you settle into your pigeon on the other side. Flexing through the left foot, hips rock from side to side as you take a breath in to open up through the front of the body. As you exhale, you lower it down. Maybe you do it in stages. Sometimes it feels good to stay upright a little bit more for a couple breaths and then eventually lower it down. That's fine. As we breathe and as we hold a position, we start to open up more and more. So it's natural that after a couple of breaths, you might be able to come a little further than you were before. And then slowly starting to walk the hands back towards the body as you begin to press the upper body up. One last time so that we're even on both sides. Go ahead and make your way either into your down dog or your tabletop position. And then from here, we're going to come right to a seated position. So when you're ready, you can start to lower yourself down. Extend your legs long towards the top of the mat with your feet right there at the top. Flex through the feet as you kind of rock your hips out from side to side. Sit up really tall, so like you're trying to make an L shape with your body, capital L. And then your arms are going to extend out in front of you, one vertebrae at a time. You'll start to lower yourself all the way down onto the mat, taking a nice full body stretch once you get there. So big breath in as the arms reach overhead. Big exhale as the hands come to the sides of the body. The knees can bend as the feet come to the base of the spine. We'll set up for our back bend. So coming into our bridge pose, you're going to take a breath in, start to press the hips up towards the sky, start to roll the shoulders under the body a little bit. So kind of like you're pushing the chest up even more on your shoulders. Your hands can continue to press into the mat, or they can interlace under the tailbone. Whichever option feels more comfortable to you, that is the option you should do. You're going to hold this for about 5 breaths. So keeping the thighs and the knees really active. And then breathing. It can feel weird to breathe here because we're kind of stretching our stomachs and our chests already. So it might feel strange to try to take a deep breath and expand more, but give it a shot. See if you can take a nice, slow, deep breath. And then slowly, one vertebrae at a time, you can start to peel the spine back down onto the mat. Once the tailbone touches, the knees can rock from side to side, giving yourself a nice little spinal stretch. And I always like to end with an inversion. So before we settle into our Shavasana, let's come into our inversion. And you have choices here. If you like to use the wall, go ahead and find a wall, extend your legs up the wall. If you don't have any wall space or you don't want a wall, you can extend your feet right up towards the ceiling without the wall. And then you can either bring your hands under your hips to kind of make it a little more comfortable, or the hands can come behind the legs, so whichever feels better for you. The idea is that those feet are up in the air, so it doesn't matter really what the hands are doing. We just want to support the legs as they start to get up over the head, over the heart. We're going to take about 7 to 10 breaths here. So just starting to slow down that breath a little bit. Maybe the eyes are closing. Feel that spine pressing into the mat. So a really nice firm connection from the tailbone all the way up to the shoulder blades. That spine is pressing down. If this is feeling good, especially if your legs are up the wall, sometimes it feels good to stay there a little longer. You're welcome to stay as long as you'd like. But when you're ready to start coming out of this inversion, the knees can slowly draw towards you. Your arms can wrap around your legs as you give yourself a little hug, maybe lifting the head up towards the knees, curling into a little ball, maybe rocking side to side or making circles with the knees. And let's end with one final twist. So bringing the arms back out to either side of you. Let both knees release to the right side. You can look up towards the ceiling or look towards the left in the opposite direction of your knees. Really casual with the legs, just kind of letting them land where they want to, so that you're able to sort of relax into this pose. It shouldn't feel like you're tight and forcing anything. It should just feel like you're sort of becoming heavy and surrendering into the mat, letting go, melting into the mat, all those descriptive words that help us sort of dissolve and let go. And then slowly drawing the knees back through center, we'll take it over to the other side so the knees can come to the left, looking up towards the ceiling or looking to the right. Your eyes can start to close at this point if that feels comfortable. And then slowly drawing the knees back through center one last time as you begin to transition into your final pose of the evening, into your Shavasana. So taking a moment now to see what else you need before you get into your Shavasana. That can be anything. It could be a blanket or a sweatshirt or a glass of water or another pose. Just ask yourself, what do I still need? What's going to help me feel really comfortable in my Shavasana? And then once you take care of those things, go ahead and settle into whatever space feels most comfortable for you. Maybe it's exactly where you started class. It could be on your back, could be seated, on your side, on your stomach, whatever feels comfortable. Maybe it's different than where you started, that's fine as well. Starting to transition into that final pose. Starting to let the breath relax a little bit, so you're not paying attention to the breath, you're just acknowledging that it's there and it's doing what it needs to do, and you can kind of forget about it because it's going to keep doing what it needs to do. And let this body start to become heavy as you melt into your mat a little bit further. Bringing that intention that you set back to the forefront of your mind. Taking a moment to scan the body and just noticing how you're feeling now compared to when you first came to your mat. What's shifted, hopefully, for the better, maybe a little shift in your mood or your mindset or your energy. Take notice of that. And if nothing changed, that's okay too. Being gentle with yourself. Knowing that even if you don't notice any change, there are uncountable benefits that your body is experiencing from the practice that you just offered. Go ahead and allow yourself to enjoy these moments here on your mat in Shavasana. Slowly beginning to invite gentle movements back into the body. Starting with the fingers and the toes, wiggling them. Rolling out the wrists and the ankles. Maybe one more full body stretch with the arms lifted overhead or the knees drawing in towards you. These last few moments here to just say thank you to yourself for coming to your mat consistently, again, week after week, taking this time to do something that's so good for you. When you're ready, if you're not there already, you can slowly start to journey back up to a seated position, pressing the hands into the mat as you lift yourself up, finding a comfortable seat. The eyes can stay closed or you can close them once you arrive. Hands come to heart center. As always, it's so great to have you guys here virtually, still be able to see you even though we can't actually be together. Hope you have the most beautiful evening, a great weekend ahead. Till I see you all again, namaste.